In the heart of Echo Hollow, a town so small it didn't even bother to claim a welcome sign, every night was a spectacular cacophony of voices, laughter, and occasional ghostly sighs. The residents of this quirky little place had grown accustomed to the odd phenomenon, the echoes of souls long departed, or perhaps just a little too attached to their earthly regrets, would drift through the town like an errant breeze. Often at the most inconvenient of times entered Jiawen, a fresh-faced journalist who had recently returned to Echo Hollow after a brief stint in the big city, armed with nothing but an insatiable curiosity and a healthy dose of optimism. "This town is a goldmine of stories waiting to be uncovered," she declared, her voice a mix of enthusiasm and determination, as she clutched her notebook like a shield. It was a shiny new journal, the kind that promised inspiration on every page, if only she could find a decent story. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Jiawen settled into her favorite cafe, the Caffeine and Confessions. The place was owned by an elderly gentleman named Mr. Pumpernickel, a name that had puzzled her since childhood but one she had come to love. The cafe smelled of freshly brewed coffee mixed with the distinct aroma of pastries, each of which seemed to reflect the townsfolk's hidden fears. Today's special was a regret-full raspberry tart, adorned with a tiny flag that read, "You should have called her back." "Another one, Miss Mystery?" Mr. Pumpernickel asked, his thick glasses sliding down his nose as he squinted at her from behind the counter. "Absolutely. I'm on a quest to uncover the town's secrets," she replied, her eyes gleaming with mischief. "And maybe gain a few pounds in the process." With her tart in hand, she began scribbling notes, oblivious to the gossiping townsfolk around her. They exchanged knowing glances and chuckles, whispering about her enthusiastic ambition. It was a typical day in Echo Hollow until the clock struck 8, when the echoes began. At first, it was a low hum, almost like a lullaby. But as it grew louder, it morphed into a chorus of bizarre sounds that seemed to embody the very essence of the town, snatches of laughter, muffled sobs, and one particularly enthusiastic rendition of what might have been an off-key rendition of "Don't Stop Believin'." Jiawen's heart raced as she recognized one echo as her grandmother's distinct chuckle, a sound she thought she'd never hear again. "What in the world?" she exclaimed, nearly dropping her tart. The other patrons turned to her, eyebrows raised. "First time hearing it?" a woman at the next table asked, her voice dripping with bemusement. "Yes." "What are those sounds?" Jiawen asked, half amused, half intrigued. "Those are the soul echoes," the woman replied. "Every night, they reflect our fears and regrets. It's like a live theater show, but with our own personal ghosts." Jiawen leaned in closer. "So you mean to tell me that this town is haunted by our own mistakes?" "How poetic." "Or tragic," the woman said with a wry smile, before returning to her knitting. Instead of fear, Jiawen felt a rush of excitement. This was a story worth telling. She decided then and there to dive deep into the mysteries of Echo Hollow and the secrets hidden in those echoes. The following day, Jiawen visited the town library, a cozy little building with creaky floors and shelves stuffed with dusty volumes. The librarian, Ms. Dewdrop, was a woman who spoke in puns and wore an assortment of whimsical glasses. "You know, Jiawen," she said, adjusting her spectacles, "if you want to uncover the echoes, you might need to dig a little deeper, like a librarian searching for a misplaced Dewey Decimal." Jiawen laughed, delighted by Ms. Dewdrop's humor. "I'm on it. Do you have any old records or stories about the echoes?" "Oh, plenty," Ms. Dewdrop exclaimed. "But beware, some tales come with a warning label." She handed Jiawen a dusty tome titled The Echoes of Our Souls. "It's got a lot of history, but it's also got some funny bits. You might laugh as much as you cry." As Jiawen perused the pages, she learned of the town's past, longing lovers, lost opportunities, and secrets tucked away like old photographs. The echoes were reflections of unresolved feelings and fears that haunted the residents. She realized that these echoes weren't just sounds, they were the heartbeats of the town itself. Her investigations led her to various townsfolk, each with their unique quirks and regrets. There was Benny, the town baker, who only made regret-themed pastries. This one is called What Could Have Been, a chocolate soufflé that collapses under pressure, just like my high school basketball dreams, he chuckled, handing her a treat that looked far more delicious than its name suggested. Then there was Gladys, the conspiracy theorist, who was convinced that the echoes were messages from aliens. They're trying to communicate with us. You just have to listen closely. The last echo I heard sounded like, "Save the whales," she declared earnestly, waving her hands wildly. Jiawen couldn't help but giggle at the absurdity, but beneath the laughter lay a growing understanding of the weight these echoes carried. Each resident's regret was a piece of a puzzle that made up the tapestry of Echo Hollow. As the days passed, the echoes grew louder and more complex, weaving tales of the townsfolk's collective memories. It was during one of her late-night investigations that Jiawen experienced a moment of clarity. One echo, distinct from the others, carried her grandmother's voice. "Jiawen, darling, it's time to stop hiding and start living," it seemed to say, echoing through the stillness of the night. Startled, Jiawen decided she needed to confront this voice. What did it mean? Why was her grandmother's echo so persistent? It was a challenge she couldn't ignore. Determined to unravel the mystery, Jiawen organized an Echo Night event. She invited the townsfolk to share their experiences and confront their echoes. "It'll be like therapy, but with more pastries," she promised, aiming to lure them in with the sweet prospect of baked goods. On the night of the event, the cafe buzzed with excitement. Residents filled the seats, each clutching their favorite pastry, ready to face their fears. Jiawen stood at the front, her heart pounding with anticipation. "Welcome to Echo Night," she announced, grinning. "Tonight, we embrace our echoes, and maybe we'll even find some laughter along the way." As the first resident stood up to share, a ripple of tension filled the room. Benny stepped forward, holding his pastry aloft. "I once lost a baking competition because I forgot the eggs. My regret? Not listening to my gut, literally. So, here's to those who never forget their eggs." Laughter erupted, easing the atmosphere. One by one, the townsfolk shared their echoes, revealing their fears and regrets. The stories ranged from hilarious to heart-wrenching. Gladys revealed her fear of loneliness, stemming from her childhood obsession with aliens. "I thought they'd come to take me away," she admitted, blushing. "But now I realize I just wanted someone to talk to." Jiawen found herself laughing and crying along with her neighbors, feeling the community's warmth envelop her. As the night progressed, the echoes transformed from haunting whispers into jubilant melodies, filling the cafe with a sense of unity. But just as the mood lifted, a chilling echo sliced through the laughter, a sound that sent shivers down Jiawen's spine. It was her grandmother's voice, stronger than ever, beckoning her to confront her own fears. "Now, that's unexpected," she exclaimed, trying to lighten the mood. "Looks like my echo wants a word." The laughter subsided, and Jiawen felt the weight of expectation on her shoulders. She took a deep breath, her pulse quickening. "Okay, Grandma, I hear you," she murmured, her voice shaking. "I need to stop hiding behind my notebook and start truly living. But it's scary." Just then, a comical interruption occurred. A pastry rolled off the table, landing at her feet, prompting a wave of laughter to break the tension. Benny shouted, "Looks like even the pastries want you to get moving." Jiawen chuckled, grateful for the moment of levity. "Fine, let's see where this takes me." With newfound determination, she shared her fear of inadequacy and how she had always felt overshadowed by her grandmother's legacy. "I don't want to be just another echo in Echo Hollow," she confessed. The room fell silent, and for a moment, Jiawen felt exposed. But then, one by one, the townsfolk nodded in understanding. Their own fears were laid bare, and in that moment, they were united. As the event drew to a close, the echoes softened, transforming into a harmonious blend of laughter and tears. The town had faced its fears together, and the connection between them had grown stronger. Jiawen looked around the cafe, her heart swelling with gratitude. They had taken the first steps toward healing, and she was grateful to have been part of it. Yet, the night wasn't over. The final echoes loomed, and as she prepared to leave, Jiawen sensed the atmosphere shift. It was as if the echoes were building to a crescendo. A ghostly chorus filled the air, a final symphony of the townsfolk's collective souls, inviting them to embrace their journey forward. In the afterglow of Echo Night, Jiawen felt the warmth of community envelop her. The laughter had mingled with the echoes, and she realized she was no longer an outsider. She was home. The echoes that filled the air took on a palpable quality, intertwining with the laughter and heartfelt confessions shared throughout the night. Each sound seemed to wrap around Jiawen, cradling her in the warmth of acceptance, echoing the journeys of the townsfolk who had dared to reveal their fears. She could feel the essence of Echo Hollow pulsing beneath her feet, a rhythm that matched the beat of her heart. As the final echoes faded into a soft hum, Jiawen stood at the center of the cafe, her pulse still racing. "Thank you all for being so brave tonight," she said, her voice steady but tinged with emotion. "We've shared a piece of ourselves with one another, and in doing so, we've turned our echoes from mere whispers into a beautiful chorus." With that, the townsfolk erupted in applause, their spirits lifted as they recognized the profound impact of their shared experience. In that moment, Jiawen felt an overwhelming sense of purpose. The echoes weren't just reflections of fears, they were stories that needed to be told, a tapestry of emotions woven together by the threads of shared humanity. As people began to leave, laughter mingling with the remnants of the night's confessions, Jiawen found herself lingering, lost in thought. Benny approached her, a smudge of flour on his cheek, the aftermath of his baking frenzy that evening. "You really got us to open up, Jiawen," he said, his voice warm. "I never thought I'd spill my guts about that basketball game." "Sometimes, all it takes is a little nudge," she replied, smiling. "And maybe a good pastry or two." "I'd say it worked better than any therapist I've ever seen," he chuckled, then grew serious. "You know, I've always thought those echoes were just annoying noises. But tonight, I realized they're more like reminders that we're all connected, whether we like it or not." "Exactly. They're our town's soul, and we need to embrace them," Jiawen said, feeling a spark of inspiration ignite within her. "I want to document this. I want to write a series about our echoes, our stories. I think we have something truly special here." Benny nodded, his eyes lighting up. "You should. We could even have a weekly Echo Night at the cafe, where everyone shares their stories. It could become a tradition." Jiawen's mind raced with possibilities. "Yes. We could even start a newsletter to keep everyone updated on their echoes, maybe even have a feature on past stories." As they brainstormed ideas, the cafe began to empty. Gladys lingered by the door, clutching her latest alien conspiracy pamphlet. "You should include the echoes of alien communications. They're just as important as our earthly regrets, you know. Absolutely, Gladys. Jiawen laughed, grateful for the eccentric spirit she brought to the town. I'll make sure to include them in the first edition. They might just add some extra flavor to our stories. The evening culminated in a sense of camaraderie that felt electric. It wasn't just the echoes that had transformed the town, it was the newfound determination to face the fears they had long buried. As Jiawen walked home under the stars, she felt lighter, as if the weight of her own uncertainties had begun to lift. In the days that followed, Jiawen set to work on her project with vigor. She interviewed residents, recorded their stories, and captured the essence of their echoes. Each account revealed deeper layers of fear, regret, and ultimately, healing. Benny's pastry-making mishap evolved into a comedic chapter about the importance of resilience, while Gladys's alien theories morphed into a whimsical exploration of seeking connection in unexpected places. Jiawen also found herself reflecting on her own journey. Her grandmother's echo lingered in her mind, urging her to confront her fears about living up to expectations. Late one night, while poring over her notes, she realized she needed to take a leap of faith, an act that would solidify her commitment to herself and her new community. Inspired, she decided to host a public reading of the first installment of her project at the town square. The idea blossomed in her mind. It would be an event to showcase their collective stories and honor the echoes that had brought them together. The night would include readings, a showcase of Benny's pastries, and, of course, the soul echoes themselves. With each passing day, excitement buzzed through Echo Hollow like the sound of an impending storm. Townsfolk rallied together, decorating the square with colorful lights and handmade signs proclaiming, "Embrace the echoes." There was a palpable energy in the air, a sense of unity that Jiawen had never felt before. Finally, the night of the reading arrived. Under a clear sky filled with stars, the town square transformed into a vibrant gathering place. Tables laden with pastries lined the perimeter, while chairs faced a makeshift stage adorned with twinkling lights. The townsfolk buzzed with excitement, each one eager to hear the stories that connected them. As Jiawen stood at the front, her heart raced. She glanced out at the sea of familiar faces, each carrying their own stories. "Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming tonight," she called out, her voice ringing with enthusiasm. "This is our moment to embrace our echoes and celebrate the stories that make Echo Hollow what it is." With that, she began to read. Each story flowed like a melody, punctuated by laughter and occasional sniffles. Benny shared his tale of the collapsing soufflé, and the crowd erupted into laughter. Gladys recounted her alien theories with an exaggerated flair, leaving everyone in stitches. The atmosphere buzzed with joy and nostalgia as the echoes of the past merged with the vibrant present. As the night wore on, the final story approached, Jiawen's own. She took a deep breath, her heart pounding as she stood before her neighbors, her voice trembling slightly. "This last story is mine, and it's about the echoes of expectations I've carried with me. It's about my grandmother and how her voice has guided me even after she was gone." As she spoke, the crowd fell silent, hanging on to her every word. Jiawen recounted her fears of not being enough, her struggles to find her place, and her journey back to Echo Hollow. With each word, she felt a weight lift from her shoulders. "But I've learned that it's okay to be afraid. What matters is that we confront those fears together. And tonight, I'm embracing my echo." When she finished, a profound silence filled the square. Then, one by one, people began to clap, their applause growing into a thunderous cheer. Jiawen felt tears prick her eyes, overwhelmed by the support and love radiating from her community. It was as if the echoes themselves were celebrating alongside them, a cacophony of voices merging into a beautiful symphony. In that moment, Jiawen realized the power of vulnerability and the strength found in connection. The echoes weren't just about regret, they were about growth, resilience, and the bonds that tied them together. The town had transformed from a collection of individual fears into a vibrant tapestry of shared experiences. As the night drew to a close, the town basked in the warmth of newfound understanding. Jiawen stepped down from the stage, her heart full, her spirit soaring. She knew that the echoes of Echo Hollow would continue to resonate, not just as haunting reminders of the past, but as vibrant symbols of their collective journey forward. Under the glow of the stars, the townsfolk mingled, laughter and conversations swirling in the night air. Jiawen joined them, her laughter ringing out like music, feeling truly at home for the first time. Echo Hollow was no longer just a place, it was a living testament to the power of stories, of echoes that were now embraced rather than feared. In the weeks that followed, the Echo Night became a beloved tradition. Each meeting was filled with laughter, pastries, and stories shared. The town thrived, not just on the echoes of the past, but on the connections forged in the light of understanding. Jiawen found her place as the town's storyteller, weaving the tales of Echo Hollow into a narrative that inspired and united. She often looked back on that first night of revelations, recognizing it as the turning point not just for her, but for the entire community. As she walked through the streets of Echo Hollow, the echoes followed her, a constant reminder of the beauty found in vulnerability and the strength found in community. Each laugh, each tear, and each echo was a testament to their shared humanity. And in that symphony of voices, Jiawen finally understood what it meant to truly live, embraced by the echoes of her soul. With her heart brimming with gratitude, she looked forward to every new echo yet to come, knowing that in Echo Hollow, they would face them together, always. And so, the story of Echo Hollow continued, a living, breathing testament to the power of shared stories and the echoes of the souls that lingered, not in regret, but in joyful celebration. The story has ended.